Imagination.
Yeah, that's it. That's keep looking. When you start to sink, will you grab his hand again, right? Because doesn't that it could be the walk on water challenge? How great is your faith?
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh no.
Welcome to an episode of Catch the Wave. My name is Jared. I'm here with my friend Philip.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
We've been chatting throughout this week. Oh, thank you.
Wow.
We've been chatting this week and had many incredible conversations so far. And today we've just been pondering a little bit about how to find God in the struggles.
Yeah.
So
it's a good way to say it.
The struggles of life. We all go through struggles. We all have seasons where, I guess, God, where are you in this? And so, yeah, Philip, I just want to ask you, give me a thought.
Well, first off, thanks for having me on the show, Jared.
Pleasure.
So fun to catch the wave together, right?
Indeed.
And yeah, you know, it's like this topic. You can kind of take it like so many ways. It's pretty grandiose in nature. It's such a big thing.
Yeah.
Finding God in the struggle and the hard things of life. And it's like, okay, well, when you break down, like, what does it mean to like really find God? Well, we're under this assumption, hopefully, that everybody on this podcast really believes that God exists.
I hope so.
Yeah, and then like the thought with that is like finding God in the struggle. Well, what would you define as a struggle? Like, would you define struggle as in like, you know, waking up and being hungry and then not having enough food until later on in the day and you only have one meal a day? Or does the struggle like you wake up and you stub your toe and then you're like, oh, okay, where's my peace at to find God? Like when we're talking about finding God in the struggle, I think we could take it to a bigger level of like saying like really it's across all of humanity to have hard things happen. Mm-hmm. And, you know, one thing I heard someone say recently, I totally agree with this, is that the mark of a human, any human on the planet, the mark of a human is suffering. But the mark of a Christian is suffering, but they at least have joy or hope. So that Christianity and Christians in general, the biggest thing that can set them apart from just being another human is the fact that they have hope and the fact that they have joy in the midst of circumstances, hardships, everything like that.
So could finding God be finding joy in the midst of our suffering?
It's a great question.
Like, suffering's small or large, if we invite God to be a part of it or we seek him during that time, there's an invitation for us then also to say, okay, God, I trust you with what was going on. Like, can you help me through this?
Yeah, it's a good point, right? Because it's like for us to find the Lord, find God in this, it's like, okay, what does it take to find God? And let's just believe that we're talking about the God of the Bible, because this is what we believe in. We believe
Definitely.
And we believe that Jesus is the way, the truth, the life, everything. And so really finding God is finding Jesus and finding who he is. And you go, okay, well, how does a believer, an everyday average believer, the normal person, whether they're in missions, they're in ministry, they're working a beautiful God-called 9-to-5 job, whatever it looks like, the dignity is in the obedience to Jesus. How in the midst of all those things, when hardships happen, when struggle and suffering happens, how can you stay in this place of joy or center yourself back to joy, center yourself back to Jesus?
Yeah, I think many times you'll only be able to get to that place of joy once you've realized you can't do it on your own. And so in the suffering, you'll get to a point where you're like, actually, I'm over this. This is too hard. I've got no way to get through this. I can't do it in my strength. And we know that. We know that we can't do it in our own strength. But I think many times we try to a little bit.
Yeah.
There's a bit of pride attached to that. And so maybe it takes us to hit, not rock bottom.
I mean, maybe
rock bottom, but maybe it also just takes for us to have a low point to be like, okay, God, really, like, I need you in this. Where are you in this?
Yeah, it's true. Can't do it on your own. Okay, so like, let's pretend for a moment, just imagination zone. Let's pretend like
imagination.
Yeah, that's it. That's even how you said it. That was right. I feel like
imagination.
We really entered to a new realm there. That's powerful. Very powerful times here. Let's pretend the thought is like, okay, well, how do you know? Is there a point where you know that you can't do it on your own? Like, think about the normal human being that's a Christian and they're living life, and they're they're eating healthy, they're staying, going after fitness, going after all the right things, loving Jesus, discipline, reading the scriptures, sharing the love of Jesus with people, working hard, raising a family. At what point in the struggle, how can you define what it means to like not do it on your own? Like, does that make sense? Like, because essentially what you're saying is a Christian is one that's able to become dependent on God.
Definitely.
And so it seems like it's an issue. Like, can't do it on your own. It's like a wrestle with pride. Is it a wrestle? What is that? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I think if we just go by the descriptor of the Christian that you mentioned, there's some incredible things in their life, and they are actually relying on the Lord. And so maybe a person in that particular position isn't in the midst of deep struggle. But I think when you find some complacency and when you find a bit of pride in the areas of your life, that's when you might begin to fall away in a few of those areas. And so I'm not saying it's only if you reject a few of those areas of your life and how you serve the Lord, that's when you fall into struggles. It can happen right at the height of ministry for many.
True.
But at the height of ministry, then there also might be pride attached to that. So
100%.
I'm not necessarily saying it's all about a person's pride, and when they realize that they've had that pride come in, they're unable to keep moving through a struggle. It's more of a observation that if we are to find complacency in our day-to-day life, and things do pop up, a struggle comes across our path, we're maybe not in the best place to really seek the Lord straight away, because we've just been ticking along. And then all of a sudden, we're just trying to do it.
In our own strength. So when you say like our own strength, like to me, that looks like essentially not involving God in the day, not involving God in the moment.
It's just getting on with it. It's like, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to figure it out. I've got a job. I've got a paycheck. I've got a house. I've got a car. I've got whatever. And I'm just going to do everything I can to try and find some sort of normality and get back to where I was.
And you're just like, hopefully it works out. Like, you can't prove if that it will. You're just like, hopefully this works out.
I think that's what it looks like of not having God in that place of struggle.
That's kind of a tormenting place. Because you're not really leaning or trusting on anything. And then so when stuff happens, hard things happens. Let's say you own a house and for some reason a lightning strikes the house burns down. No, we don't want that. God forbid anybody wants that in anything.
No.
We celebrate that you own a house. Praise God. That's great. It's very positive. But let's say all that stuff happens. Fire hits the house. And you're like, well, everything I lived for up to this moment was to have safety and comfort and to have a home, have a family, all these things. And then I finally built to this place and the house burns. Now that could be actually a literal thing that happens, or metaphorically, but the house burns. The safety and comfort of where I've been resting every day is burning to the ground for whatever reason. And are you capable of finding Jesus in the midst of things like that being taken from you?
That's the moment of that low point. And I think that if someone were to go through physical or metaphorical fire like that, there might be a moment where they try and figure out how to get back from this. But it's also that, okay, this is beyond what I'm capable of doing. There'll be a breaking point.
There's a breaking point.
I think there'd be a breaking point for anyone who's going through any sort of struggle in their life, be it mental health, be it in the physical. There's a point of, actually, I don't know where to go. I don't know how to find a solution to this because what I've been doing hasn't worked. And I think as Christians, we can say that, oh yeah, we're definitely always going to seek God in our problems and we're going to bring him into every single situation.
Right.
But many times we don't.
I mean, I'm not perfect at it at all.
No.
Every day I have opportunities to invite God in on something. And I don't. Maybe I should. I for sure should. But I don't. I'm like, no, I got it. I'm good. But the moments that I do, those seem to often be the moments that normally play out better. And I may not play out better necessarily with a positive outcome all the time, but play out better where I feel like it's going to be okay no matter what happens. Like when we're talking about finding God in the midst of struggle, essentially what we're saying is finding this peace and this joy that no matter the circumstances goes beyond understanding. Even the scriptures talk about finding that peace that surpasses understanding. And you can embrace, and essentially you can do anything at that point. You become unstoppable and limitless to live life because circumstances don't dictate the inner reality anymore.
That's good.
And so then, we all have our stories, right? I could take an hour or 2 hours and unpack my story right now, maybe for another time, probably you as well.
Yeah.
But if I asked you enough questions or vice versa, you would probably find my pain points pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And also for you, you're from New Zealand.
I am indeed.
Very powerful, amazing. It's we say Kiwis, right?
Well, I'm a Kiwi.
You're a Kiwi.
Yeah.
Thank you for being honest, Very powerful.
You're welcome.
And I'm from the South. I'm from Tennessee. I'm a Southern boy. And
amen.
Yeehaw, as they say. And, not many people say yeehaw. That's more Texas, actually. So, but the thought is this, is like, we all have our issues, our things. And so I had to come to a place, even in my early adult years, even when I really specifically entered college, struggling with tragedy in the family, struggling with figuring out security issues, rejection, abandonment, figuring out what my purpose and calling is. All of these things are happening as it happens when most people are 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. But there has to be a moment where you go, okay, God, are you in the midst of this?
So was there a time in that where you just started going through the motions of figuring out how am I, Philip, going to not necessarily fix everything, but how am I going to process this? How am I going to move past this? And how am I going to get back to what is a normal? Was there a time where you were just doing it in your own?
Yeah, great question. I think for me, since I was born, I had this understanding. I knew that God was real and he was with me.
Come on.
Then I had a faith crisis, though, around the beginning of college. And I was like, what's going on here? It was a faith crisis. At the same time, at the faith crisis, family tragedy stuff happening. And so then, you have internal and external things happening all at once. There's a swirl. And I was in a place of great turmoil, depression, anxiety, skepticism, almost, you're going towards like atheism. Like, you know what, I'm going to blow all this away, this whole God thing. This is not working out. But in the midst of that, actually the wrestle, I realized, I was like, man, without God, this world is fully meaningless. I've heard too many stories from too many people about too many things where they go towards money only, or they go towards women, or relationship after relationship, or they go to this thing or that thing. And every last one of them, the stories I hear, they come up empty. They come up broken. They come up more than before in pain.
Yeah, and that's what mankind is inherently.
Yeah, totally.
Like, we are broken.
Right.
Like,
so I'm like, that's not the right
about us, which is perfect.
Yeah, that's not the right way. I don't want to go that way.
No.
So then I'm like, okay, so God has to be real.
100.
Because the pain is so much, there has to be a real something going on. There has to be a real solution. Like, and so in that process, like, God, you have to be real, but you got to show yourself to me. Yeah. So then you're asking the question, is he real? And did he make us, but he distanced himself afterwards? Like this deistic thought. Or is he closer to us than we realize? And is he personable? And if he's personable, is it just for people like Moses that get the burning bush? Am I allowed to have a burning bush? Am I also qualified to have a real encounter with the living God?
I think many of us in times of strife and struggle are like, okay, God, we want you to speak louder because I'm not hearing you. But how many times is he asking us to move closer?
Yeah, so true.
Yeah, like there's an invitation from him to then turn around and say, okay, God, I'm putting my focus on you. I'm going to not ignore everything which is going on because it's all very real, but I'm going to pause there and I'm going to fix myself. I'm going to remain in you. That might look like prayer. That may look like worship. May look like a number of things, but there's an opportunity for us to then say, okay, God, you have something for me here.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's going to look like. It's actually painful to kind of internalize some of that stuff with God.
True.
It's not always a fun process, but there's every opportunity to then go through it with him and have him bring about some deep healing.
Do you feel like that was part of your story?
Yeah, I think.
Like specifically, you said the phrase just now, sometimes not the piece of like God being louder.
Yeah.
But you drawing closer.
Yeah.
Did you feel like that was part of your story of like you had to draw closer?
Yeah, so my early 20s, like I just had a job and I was working and I kind of didn't really know what I was going to do with my life. I'd live week to week. I couldn't save any money. And it wasn't necessarily a breaking point, but it was like, okay, God, surely there's something else here. And, you know, a few steps down the road, I ended up here at Waiwa Mazatlan, so I'm really thankful for the Lord for bringing me here.
Yeah, totally.
But it was God, I need you to speak more clearly. I need you to speak louder because I'm not hearing you.
Wow.
But I realized actually, like, am I honoring the time I have to spend with him? Am I pursuing him in the quiet, in the secret? So I had to reflect on that, and, you know, the answer was no.
Yeah, you had to have an honest conversation with yourself.
Yeah.
But until you were willing to have an honest conversation, you're not going to have an honest answer.
No, you're just lying to yourself.
So like someone I love listening to, I don't probably agree with everything he says, but I love him, Jordan Peterson. And he says, if you really want to know what's going on, just go sit on the edge of your bed and ask yourself the question, God, or ask yourself, what are the things that I'm doing right now that I know I don't need to be doing? And if you honestly ask the question and genuinely listen, you'll hear something. You'll find out real quick. You know
the answer before you ask the question.
And so then you sit down and you go, okay, what am I doing right now that's not allowing me to actually connect with God or know God? And you're like, oh shoot. Well, if I'm being honest, I don't make time for Him. And so this is what you're saying is you were saying to even make time is to open up a whole avenue to actually encounter God. So to make time is it in the process of actually learning how to find God, whether you're in a hard season or not. So then when the hard seasons come, you found Him.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, like a really simple example for me, like in those very early 20s, I used to spend my mornings before work in my car down by the ocean, and I would journal my prayers and I would read the word and I would listen to some worship.
Oh, that's good.
But as a couple of years went along, I didn't prioritize that place the same. And so when I was probably 23 by that point, I was really going around in circles and didn't have any direction or I had no real plan. I was just working. And so it was when that kind of came around, I kind of realized actually, like, Lord, I'm not pursuing you in the quiet.
Back to the car, huh?
Yeah, back to the car. And so literally, you know, there's been numerous times in my life where I've gone back into the car and parked up at that same place, not because I had been ignoring that particular place and choosing to seek Him, but almost prophetically. Like, I'm going to jump in my car, I'm going to go back there because I know this has been...
As a faith statement.
Yeah, this has been a really good thing for me. And so I'm going to go and park up there. I'm going to write some prayer.
Car time.
Yeah, car time with Jared. I like it. But
That's
it was important for me. And so...
Yeah, it's good.
Even last year, there was one time when I was back in New Zealand and I just really wanted some direction. And so it's not that I'm not seeking the Lord in my own time and reading the Word and having time of personal worship.
Right.
But actually it was like, okay, I'm going to jump in my car.
Yeah.
Because I remember this.
Yeah.
I'm fond of it. It was actually really, really special and it was formative in my early 20s. I'm going to go back there. So I parked up.
That's the word, formative. So we're really talking about kind of spiritual formation stuff right here. Huh. Okay, so we got to stay on topic because we could go so many places right now.
Could go many places.
And we can't. We just can't right now.
We're limited by time.
Yeah. I mean, only a few minutes left here.
Correct. That's
so
okay.
To stay on this topic, though, you and I think we both owe it to the people that are going to listen, whether it's 10 million people or 1 million or
20 million.
Let's dream big here, buddy.
Amen.
That's amazing. We gotta come to some type of resolution, or we can leave it in the mystery zone.
I think there's a question that's open.
What is that question?
How to phrase it?
No pressure here. I mean, everybody's listening.
Yeah, everyone is waiting. seconds are passing.
Oh, no.
There's a question there that's open to everyone of like, when that time comes where you're in strife, and again, it could be physical, it could be spiritual.
When you're in strife, like hard things?
Yeah, struggles.
Okay, the
strife.
Yeah.
Sorry,
it's a new word for me. No, it's a new word for me every day.
Yeah. When there is pain in your life,
right?
Do you stay in that place of pursuing the Lord, or do you let what's shaking you distract you so that your attention is on how is Jared going to figure this out?
Oh my gosh, you might as well just be preaching the story of Peter on the water, brother.
Yeah,
you know that story.
100.
Yeah, a lot of ways you look like Peter. I feel like
he probably had a beard.
You guarantee he did. I don't think he's got a razor anywhere.
I haven't used the razor in a long time.
Anywhere north of Nazareth, they say. But yeah, you are you a Nazarite?
No.
You could be with that beard.
I have been asked.
So then Peter hops out of the boat.
Yeah.
And he's looking at Jesus, and because Jesus invited him to that moment. But it's safe to say they're kind of in a little bit of a struggle, right? There's some wind and some waves going on. Mm-hmm. But the second he looks away, he sinks, right?
Yeah.
So then it's like the moment of the looking away is when you start to sink.
Yep.
So it has nothing to do with necessarily the storm.
No. It's where are your eyes fixed? Okay.
So then the question to all of us, myself included, is, are our eyes fixed on him? It's a good question.
Are your eyes fixed in the struggle?
Fixed in the struggle.
Where are your eyes during the struggle? Are you focused on him? Mm-hmm. There's also something quite cool about the fact that Peter out on the water,
he
looks away. Even though he looks away, the fact that he was there to begin with, he had the faith to step out on the water. He dipped his foot into the water.
Yeah.
And in that place, imagine it.
I know.
Oh.
Can I just ask, have you tried to walk on water before?
I don't think so.
What?
I don't think so.
I have.
Oh.
For sure.
How many seconds did you walk on water for?
None.
Oh, okay.
Not one.
No.
Not 1 second. There's probably someone listening right now that's probably doing it right now. They're probably listening to the podcast while they're walking on water.
Could be a challenge.
It could be the walk on water challenge. How great is your faith?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, no. That's amazing. Yeah, so it's this concept of like, you gotta step out of the boat. But then it's not enough to just step out.
No.
Keep looking.
But I think when you do step out, the smile that's on Jesus' face, even knowing that you're probably going to fall a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Like the joy on the father's face of like, that's my son. That's my daughter. He got out the boat.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
So the risk was getting out of the boat.
Yeah.
And back to our you said the smile, but back to the very beginnings. Really, it's like this joy. It's this peace. It's this hope. And it comes back to his smile. So when you start to know that he's inviting you into friendship, and he's inviting you through a smile, and you take the risk to get out of the boat, start that journey, that's like, in a lot of ways, the getting out of the boat is like someone that's choosing to say, yes, I will follow Jesus, right then and there.
That's it.
So it's like this, it's not like Peter wasn't like following Jesus beforehand, but metaphorically, that was a huge moment for him.
Massive. And
then for us, everybody has a moment where they have to get out of the boat to follow Jesus. And it has less to do about you sinking, more to do, keep looking. When you start to sink, will you grab his hand again, right? Because doesn't that story, he's sinking, he cries out for help. What happens?
Reaches out.
Little hand grab.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's amazing. Pulled him in, grabbed the hands, boom, bada bing, put him up.
That's exactly how it happened.
I love that so much. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do we continue on? I feel like this is a pretty good podcast here.
I think we've done a good job.
Is there anything else we need to add? Any final remarks from the Kiwi himself?
Well, I guess it's a thank you for sitting on this couch and having a little conversation with me.
Oh, bro, anytime.
It's been a pleasure having you here this week.
Do we do it? Or do we run it back another time?
If we're both here, we can try it.
Yeah, for sure.
We can have some other conversations.
Well, I appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
I guess this is it.
This is it.
Talk to you later.
Talk to you later. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.
It's the music for me.
It's the music, yeah.
Yeah, you like it. High five or what?
High five.
Ka-chow.
Man, your hands are much larger than mine.
Yeah, always have been.
Wow.
Yeah. Don't give up, though.
No. You need to do the exercises.
For sure.